Well, it is a problem every winter. Snow and icy sidewalks, making it dangerous for people to walk. In this week's Know the Law segment, Tom Sinas is here to talk about whose responsibility it is for clearing them off and what you do if you get hurt.
So this is something very interesting because there is a very significant change that happened in the lame duck session last December. Okay, and what are we talking about here? We're talking about duties of municipalities to maintain sidewalks. In the old days, municipalities had a duty to make sure that sidewalks were safe. And the general rule was this: if there was more than a 2-inch defect on a sidewalk, then the municipality was deemed to have known that that's a defect that needed to be fixed. Less than 2 inches, then the municipality largely didn't have a responsibility to fix that. Well, what changed last December? What changed is that in the lame duck session, the legislature passed a bill that applies a rule called the open and obvious rule. And it applies that rule now to the first time to municipalities. The open and obvious rule has been around in Michigan for quite some time. It was created entirely by judges, and it says this when it comes to defects on property: that if that defect is something that you can see and you can avoid,
something that's obvious,
and you're hurt by it, you don't have a claim for that. Which is a bit odd, because if you can see it and you can avoid it, then you will avoid it. But if you fall over it and hurt yourself, then you didn't see it, right? Well, now, and for years, the open and obvious rule did not apply to municipalities. That was the 2-inch rule. Now municipalities have it both ways. They have the 2-inch rule, but even for those defects that are more than 2 inches, now municipalities can say, if it's open and obvious, then we don't have any liability for anyone that hurts themselves on the sidewalk. The irony, of course, is that if it is more than 2 inches, it probably is obvious. So effectively what all this means is that now, right now, for the first time ever in Michigan, municipalities are essentially immune from lawsuits by people who hurt themselves when walking down the sidewalk. And it's a bit odd, too, because, well, in Grand Rapids, for example, the city has the duty to maintain the sidewalk. Remember, we changed our millage?
I know before our prize, they go and they shave down some of those joints that are uneven, just trying to help people.
That's right, and there's an incentive there, right, because they don't want people to get hurt. Well, the question everyone's been asking over the last few weeks is, well, now that you've made cities immune, essentially, from lawsuits for defective sidewalks, why fix the sidewalks?
What's their incentive to fix the sidewalk?
What's the incentive? Well, I suppose
it's obviously bad, so they can't sue you.
That's right. And so this is really troubling. It's really troubling because we as taxpayers, we pay our municipalities to maintain the sidewalk. What if we as taxpayers are then hurt because the sidewalk's not properly maintained? Well, if that happens to you, it's going to be a really difficult road for your legal claim in the future. And it's all a result of what happened last December and at the lame duck session.
If somebody's been injured walking around, they think it's not their fault, they can give you a call.
Sure. Grand Rapids, 616-301-3333. Online at www.sinasdramis.com. or send us an email at info@sinasdramis.com.
Tom, I have a strange feeling that we're going to be talking about a lot of changes coming down the pike here soon.
I suspect you're correct.
All right. Good to see you.
Thanks, Christian.